Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Inside the Mirror podcast. I'm Kyle David, still. Today I want to talk about legacy, but kind of living your life with legacy in mind. I think it's important. Okay, but before we get into it, let's define what is legacy. What is legacy? Because I could be saying one thing and you could be thinking another thing. We're just missing each other. Like me and my sister do all the time. We're like saying the same thing all the time. True story, tangent already. Sorry. Me and my sister conversing recently all the time about our business and certain things that we're doing together. And we'll be talking and she'll be like, I don't think you get it. And she keep trying to explain it to me, like, no, I get it. Or I'll be explaining it back to her and she's like, no, that's not it. Come to find out, we're saying the same thing. So anyways, tangent, but yeah. So I want to define legacy. So you're not saying one thing and I'm not saying another thing. Legacy. What is legacy? Here it is. This is the definition of legacy. Legacy, the technical definition of legacy is an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. So like when someone dies and they leave you money, that's their legacy in a way, the technical definition. But there are several other definitions. Okay, so legacy also is something, again, just like money, something passed from one generation to the next. I like that one a lot. Something passed from one generation to the next. Could be an idea, could be something physical, again, financial. It could be a way of life. Like something passed from one generation to the next is legacy. And one person's definition was what you leave behind for the people you serve. That's my favorite one. Legacy is what you leave behind for the people you serve. What you leave behind for the people you serve. And who are the people you serve? The people you serve are your family, your friends, your coworkers, the people you interact with anywhere in life, even the people you don't know. Everyone around you are the people you serve. They are. People you serve are the people around you. Again, your friends, your family, your coworkers, da 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 da. What you leave behind for the people you serve is your legacy. My personal definition is just simply what people will remember you for. That's my definition of legacy. What people will remember you for. I put my notes back over here because I wrote a few more things down. What people remember you for is your legacy, right? And so then we need to think about like, why is legacy important, right? Like some things I wrote down here is like how you live today shapes the future, right? It shapes your future, but it truly does shape the future. Like the things that we're doing now that will be passed on, again, legacy that will be passed on to the next generation. Those things that we're working on right now will shape the future, right? Like, okay, so a big push right now is climate change and climate control, emissions control, and just us controlling the toxins we're putting up into the atmosphere, right? Now, whether you agree with climate change or not, it's not really the point. The point being, whatever we develop to, whether to prevent that or to help curb that, that is part of this generation's legacy, right? Like we will pass down our climate ideas and all the ideologies around climate change and preventing negative climate change. That is the part of this generation's legacy that we'll pass down, right? The ideologies that we have, millennials, Gen Z, the younger generations, the things that we do technologically, right? Like AR and VR and AI and all these things that we're working on right now that are here, but they're really going to be here over the course of the next few decades. That will be technologically the legacy that we pass down to the next generation, right? What else? Like the way we govern, right? Our government is changing. The way government is being structured and restructured and ran. That's going to be part of the legacy, good or bad. Now, let me say this. Let me say this and insert this. Legacy isn't always good, right? Like Hitler did not leave a good legacy, right? Terrible. But that was his legacy. What he did to the people in Germany and the Jews in Germany is his legacy. That's what we remember him for, right? That's a terrible legacy. So I wanted to talk about our legacy, but specifically, again, not just generationally. I just wanted to get into legacy itself and some examples. But personally, like me, what is the legacy I'm going to leave behind to people, the people that I serve and the people that knew me, know me, will know me when I pass, when I leave. And you, what will be your legacy, right? Like what are the things that you're going to leave behind for people, for your kids, for your family, again, for the people you serve, the people you knew? At your funeral, what's your legacy going to be like? That's what I think about. I think about that a lot. Like at my funeral, when I'm dead, when I'm gone, when I die, when I pass, what are people going to remember me for, right? I sure hope it's not anything materialistic. I sure hope it's not tattoos or money or anything of that nature. I hope that people don't just remember me for a few moments, for a few things like that. Like impactful legacy is something. Think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s MLK. That guy left an incredibly powerful legacy, a great legacy. The anti of, if you want to use the example of a bad legacy, is Hitler. It's terrible, right? MLK is the opposite. That guy left an amazing legacy with the way he lived his life. We don't remember Martin Luther King for how much money he has. None of us know. None of us care. We don't care about how much money he had or the cars he drove or did he have a nice house. No, we remember the way that he changed the thinking of an entire generation, his ideologies that have helped move forward social justice, and racial equity and equality. Like MLK, the way he behaved and treated people and spoke and what he stood for, that's what we remember him for. And that's what I want to be remembered for, is the way that I treat people and the way I speak and the ideologies that I infuse into culture that will help move us forward in a positive way. That's what I want to be remembered for. The way I treated people, the effect that I had on people, the things that God used my mind to create that will live on past me. And for you, ask yourself, like, what are the things you want to be remembered for? When you die, what do you want people to remember about you? If it's just like, oh, he was that guy, he's made some cool music. There's a bazillion people that make music. Your music will live on for a very short amount of time. Most people, even like, think about it, like Prince. We celebrated Prince for like a few days on Twitter and on the internet. And people still play his music, but like he's not a part of the conversation right now, right? He's not really relevant. And sorry if you love Prince. I think Prince is dope, but like he's not really relevant right now in culture right now, because he left behind music and he left behind a lot. But we remember Prince for, like, besides the music, we remember Prince for, money, living the life, having lady. Like, that's not stuff that we want to think about, meditate on daily, right? But people still meditate daily on MLK's ideas and the things he did, and we're still pushing those ideologies forward, right? Again, not knocking Prince, but different kind of legacy, different kind of impact, right? Like, I've known a good bit of people, unfortunately, that have passed away, and family members that have passed away that had a lot of stuff, right? Like my papa, I love him, rest in peace. My papa passed away with a lot of money. When I think of him now, do you think I think of his money? Absolutely not. I don't think of his money at all. I think of him, who he was as a person, the things that he taught me, the reasons I looked up to him in business and in life. I remember my papa for who he was, not what he had. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at here. Thanks for bearing with me. We're getting there. Sometimes we got to get to the meat in the middle, but I got to, give you a few side dishes and we got to get to the entree. Anyways, that's what I'm trying to get at. Those people will remember you more for who you were than what you had. So I hope if you hear nothing else in this podcast, please remember this. People will remember you more for who you were than for what you had, right? Like, I'm sure most of us have known people that have died, and when we think of them, we don't think of what they had. We aren't like, oh man, Papa, that Lexus. No, I don't think about his cars and his money, and you probably don't either. You're not thinking of your friend and being like, yeah, that's too bad. He had a really nice car. No, you're like, man, that was a good dude. Or like, I think of my papa, I'm like, that was a good man, right? Like, we remember people for who they were. So when it comes to thinking of living your life in a way that leaves a real legacy, a positive legacy, because if you're just living your life to get money and stuff, you're going to have your death will not be very impactful. People aren't going to talk about you for a long time just because you had money. A lot of people got money. Unimpressive. Let me say that again. Money, unimpressive. If your goal in life is to get a bunch of money, I hate to say this, but you don't impress me. It's not impressive. I've had money. I'm going to have a lot of more money at some point in the trajectory that I'm on. And I don't say that to brag, just like, that's what I'm doing right now, is building things that make money. I pray you don't remember me for having money. Because if you remember me for having money, that means I didn't do much else. And that's unimpressive. Money is unimpressive. Money is a resource. A lot of people can get money. Like, there's a bazillion ways to get money, to make money, to lose money. Money is unimportant. But we live in this society, in this culture that just everything, like you want to go make money to pass on to your kids. And I get that. That's great. That's great. It comes from a good place. Or I want to be successful to prove the haters wrong. Like, you're wasting your time proving other people wrong. You're literally living your life for them. If you're chasing money for other people, your legacy will be minimal, right? Like, people aren't going to remember you for very long or for very much. You don't want to be remembered for very little, right? You don't want to pass on. People are like, yeah, cool guy. I'm not really sure. Didn't really get a lot out of him, or her, but nice lady. I think she was cool. You don't want people to just react like, oh, that's too bad. Like, when you pass, like, hopefully people, I mean, it's morbid, but like, when I pass, I hope people are like, oh my goodness, like, man, that dude did. I remember how that guy treated me. That dude did a lot of good, right? I want people to be like, oh man, yeah, that's too bad. That guy, I heard he was real rich, a lot of money. Oh, like, legacy is you'll be remembered for who you were, not what you had, right? So when you think about that, right, when you're dead, like, none of the stuff you got matters. You can't take it with you, right? It's not going with you into the dirt. You can't take your material possessions with you. You can't take your money with you. People won't really care because they know a bazillion other people that had some money. Like, everybody knows somebody that has money. So it's not like when somebody has money that passes, like, oh my God, he was a millionaire though. Like, I don't know why I spoke like that, but whatever. You know what I'm saying though? Like, no one's gonna be super sad that your money's gone, right? Or like, like, that you're gone. Like, oh my gosh, he had so much money though. Like, no, that's not what people are gonna remember you for, and that's not what you want people to remember you for. You want people to remember you for who you were, how you treated them, right? Like that is practical. Like, living your life now. So then when you start thinking of life in terms of leaving a legacy and living for legacy, because that's what I'm trying to get at here, is we should be living for legacy, right? And when I say that, I don't mean like build something huge so that others can. And there's nothing. I'm not nothing against building something huge. That's literally what I'm doing. But you want people to remember you for the way that you treated them. I know I repeat myself, but I think it's important, right? Like, when we live for legacy, it changes the way you live. When you live for money and material possessions, the way you treat people and the way you live your life, it goes a certain way, right? You treat people in a certain way, and you live your life in a certain way if all you want out of it is money and possessions. Your daily life is dictated by actions that lead to money and possessions. But if you change your perspective to, I want to live my life for legacy, right? I want to live a life of legacy so that when I pass, it's impactful. You live your daily life in a different way. You're not living for money anymore. You're living for legacy. You're living to leave something behind for other people that impacts them, right? So you're going to be kinder. You're going to interact with people differently when your goal and the way you're living your life is for legacy, is to pass something on to people. So instead of living for money, which is for me, right? If I'm living my life for money and possessions, that's just living my life for me, versus living for legacy, which is what I leave to the people I serve, right? According to that, when I live my life for legacy to leave something to the people I serve, that's living a life that's not all about me. Money and possessions as your focus in life is all about me. I want money, I want possessions, I want things. But when you live a life for legacy, it's, I want to leave this to them, to others. It's not all about you. Now, some of it is like in a somewhat selfish way. It feels good to treat others right and to know that you're leaving a legacy. That feels good. But when you do it for other people, the way you live your daily life changes, right? Again, if you're an athlete and your goal is to be a professional athlete, that dictates the way you live your life. If you want to be a millionaire, that dictates the way you live your life. If you want to leave a legacy, that dictates the way you live your life, right? I hope you're tracking with me. This is what I think. Living your life for legacy means living your life to the best of your abilities, right? Because living your life just to make a lot of money is not living your life to the best of your abilities. It's not, right? Like we're all capable of more than just making money. So living your life for legacy is living your life to the best of your abilities in everything you do, right? Whether it's at work or in your business or the way you treat people, the way you love your family, all that is dictated by, right? By doing, you're doing your best, the best, living your life to the best of your abilities in every area will create legacy, right? Taking care of your body to the best of your abilities is going to help you leave legacy, because when you're healthy, you can interact and impact with more people, and you might just live longer, right? The longer you live, the more opportunity to create legacy. But in everything you do it to the best of your ability, and you will leave a legacy, right? If you treat people to the best way possible, to the best of your abilities, you will leave a legacy. They will remember how you treated them, right? Let's pause there and go down that. The way you treat people is what they will remember you for most. I promise. That's not just a quote that I read somewhere, right? Like, I've experienced that. I talked about my papa. I remember my papa for the way he treated me, the way we interacted. I don't remember him for his money and his possessions. I don't care. That's not how I remember him, right? If your grandfather or grandmother has passed away, I doubt that you remember them for like, oh my goodness, like the first thing you think of is like how much money they had. Like, I would hope that you had a good enough relationship to you remember them for the way they treated you. And even if it was negative, like that's the legacy they left you. And I'm sorry for that. Like, I have a lot of empathy for negative relationships that ended in death and was never reconciled, right? But they left a negative legacy. But again, either way, you remember them for the way they treated you, good or bad. That you're not, your first thought about someone that passed isn't their dollars or like the car they drove. You know what I'm saying? But we live our lives, especially in America. I'm saying we, just as a collective society, we live our lives as if the most important things are money and possessions and status and the things that no one will remember you for. Hold up, right? Like, I hope you caught that right there. Like, culture and society is telling us to live our lives for things that nobody cares about when we pass away. Huh? What? Again, why is society telling us to live our lives for things that nobody will remember us for anyways? Why isn't humility and kindness, gentleness, love, patience, why aren't these things being pushed as the things we should live our lives for, right? Because the people that are pushing these ideologies, it's for them. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but we need to change the conversation of living your life for money and possessions is empty, and it doesn't leave much to others when you pass. It doesn't leave a good legacy. It doesn't leave much of anything. It leaves some paper and maybe a Camaro. Nobody cares. Everybody has a Camaro. That's cool. Not to knock Camaros. They're dope. I'm just saying, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares that you got $30,000-$40,000 and you bought a nice car. No one cares when you pass. No one cares. People barely care now. I see Ferraris and Teslas all the time here in Dallas. I don't care. Like, I don't look at those people and be like, oh my God. Like, I don't care. Like, it's a nice car. I think the cars are cool. I dig cars. Like, ask anybody that knows me. I've wanted to buy a Ferrari since I was a young boy. Like, I dig Ferraris. But I don't care. Like, I don't care about the person in the driver's seat. I'm not really concerned with, oh my goodness, who is that? Because they have so much money to buy a car. Like, I don't care. Like, I like your car. And if you got out of the car and treated me badly, I'm going to remember how you treated me. I'm not going to remember how dope your car was. I'm going to immediately remember the person in that dope car was a jerk, right? And when you pass away, if I knew somebody that owned a Ferrari, which I know a couple people, but when they pass away, the people that I know are good people. But if I knew somebody that was a jerk that owned a Ferrari, when they pass away, I remember them as a jerk, not as the Ferrari owner. I don't care when they pass away what kind of car they had. I remember how they treated me, right? Or vice versa. If somebody that I know who has a Ferrari, when he passes, I'm going to remember him for the way he treated me still in a good way. I'm not going to worry. When my friend passes, I'm not going to be like, oh man, the Ferrari. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that sounds crazy, because it is crazy. Because living your life for material possessions and not living your life for legacy and living your life in a way that will leave a legacy. Because living your life in a way that will leave a legacy is really just living your life in the best way possible. Like I said, living your life to leave a legacy is just doing everything to the best of your abilities. Treating people the best you can, uh, taking care of yourself the best you can, doing everything to the best of your abilities, not just one thing, not just being awesome at getting money and doing everything else terribly. Your legacy is going to be no one's worried about. No one's you. You're not going to have an overflow of people at your funeral if you were just good at getting money. That doesn't impact other people's lives. You might have a small impact on people's lives because you got some money. I understand that for all you that you like to argue. No, I'm not. Most of you don't, but there's a few people. Anyways, I understand you could do a little bit, make an impact with money. But I'm saying when you do your best in every area of your life and live your life knowing that the way you are and the way you are treating people will be the way you're remembered. When you live your life like that, I guarantee you're just gonna be a better person. You'll be a better person when you live your life with legacy in mind, with the end in mind, knowing that someday you will pass on, and what you're doing right now, the way you're treating people, will live on. Though, when you live your life that way, life changes. I'm not saying I'm perfect at this. Trust me, most of my life I did not live my life for legacy. I lived my life for money and success. And it was not rewarding, it was not fulfilling, and I wasn't leaving a huge legacy on people. I treated people well, but I wasn't intentional in doing it to the best of my abilities, if that makes sense. I hope that's all making sense. Living your life in a way that leaves people better off will have your funeral packed with people. The way you treat people is more important than any dollar amount you'll ever make. That's a fact. That's a fact. We could definitely get into it if you disagree with that. The way you treat people is way more important than the amount of money you make. It just is. It's more impactful to treat people kindly and not have a lot of money than to have a lot of money and not treat people kindly. You make a bigger impact by treating people kindly than just having money. Again, don't hear me dissing money. Again, I have lots of friends and family that have lots of money, and it's amazing. That's great. Money is an incredible resource. You can do a lot of good with it. I'm trying to stack a lot of money for a reason, though, for a purpose. I have ideas in mind that will be executed with the resources, but I'm no longer obsessed with the money. And I hope you're not either. And if you are, look, we are all on a constant journey to become the best version of ourselves, right? To be the best we can be. And maybe if you do feel convicted right now, like, man, I do focus on money and material possessions way too much. It's fixable. Don't beat yourself up. It's fixable. Again, I still get sucked into it sometimes of focusing too much on money and financial stuff and possessions. I do. Let's be real here. Okay, here. Moment of honesty. Like, there are many times where I focus way too much on money and getting money and possessions, things I'm going to buy with the money. And just money is tempting. Don't get me wrong, man. Money is the root of all evil, baby. It's because it's tempting and it can suck you in. But you've got to pull yourself back out and remind yourself, as I do, I'm living for legacy. I'm not living for this money. I'm not living for this cash, this paper, right? It's paper. I could burn it. If what you're living for could be eradicated and gone in seconds by the flick of a lighter, you're living for the wrong thing. I'm telling you, you're living for the wrong thing. You want to live for legacy. Like, great example of somebody that lived for legacy. There's a bazillion of them, but here's a historical figure who lived for legacy. He did not live for money, for what other people had to say about him in regard to how cool he was. This man just lived his life to impact and love other people. And when he died, we still talk about him today. Jesus Christ. Now, whether you are religious or you like Jesus or you don't like Jesus, history has proven that Jesus was a real figure, a real human, right? Like, we could get into that conversation, but we know historically Jesus Christ was a real human. Now, we could disagree on, was he God or did everything he claimed, was that all true? But here's the thing, that man left a legacy. It's been thousands of years since Jesus Christ died, and he is the Bible, the book that he influenced, is still the most widely distributed book in the world. That's legacy. Like, when people think of Jesus Christ, People that know about Jesus Christ, right? Not the haters, right? There are gonna be people when you die that didn't know you, they're gonna have bad things to say. Those people don't matter, right? The people that truly know you are gonna speak the truth about you. The people that truly know Jesus and the people that knew Jesus and the people nowadays that read about Jesus are impacted by his kindness, his love, the way he treated people. If you read about him, it's incredible the way that Jesus treated people and was humble and didn't ever ever try to get material possessions for himself. Like, and that man left one of the biggest impacts or legacies on the world that we know of in human history. Again, whether or not you think Jesus was God, the man has impacted culture, societies, governments, religions for thousands of years with the way he lived his life and treated people. That's it. Jesus is remembered for the way he lived his life and treated people. The legacy he left is simply based on the way he lived his life and the way he treated other people. Not money, not possessions. The dude had nothing. Like, materialistically, he had nothing. He had like a robe, you know. But again, that's just an example of, like, you don't know what will happen when you're gone. But live your life today to the best of your ability so that the legacy you leave impacts people when you're gone. You know, because people that are chasing money and success and all these, they want to be remembered for something. I know when I was chasing money and success, I wanted to be remembered for something, but I was confused about what people actually remember you for. I thought people were going to remember me for the business success that I had and the acumen that I had in business or the money that I made. That was my goal, was to have so much success in business and make a lot of money, and people would remember me for that. But I didn't realize what people actually remember you for. I didn't realize what actual legacy was. Is people will remember you for who you were and the way you treated them. That's what's most important. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope this impacted you in some way. Again, people will remember you for who you are, not for what you have. End it there. Love you guys. Happy holidays. I know this is a wild time. This is not an ideal Christmas season, but make the most of it. Do your best to make the most of it. Be positive in a negative time. And if you need help, reach out. If you're struggling right now, if you have access to me, hit me up. Text me, message me, however you get a hold of me. I'm happy to be there for you, or your family or your friends. I guarantee there's somebody out there that's happy to be there for you. If you're struggling right now, please reach out. Don't try to go at it alone. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Be safe. Be wise. Peace.